What's up, guys? Welcome back to LoverCast. This week's episode is on one of the most difficult topics for me, and that is why we're making an episode about it this week, because it's something that I need to learn very, very, very badly in my life. Something I've struggled with for pretty much my entire life, especially now that I'm really involved in social media, comparing myself to people all the time, pretty much constantly. And it's not really healthy. And I wanted to go over this because I think not only is this a problem for me right now, but I think it's going to be a problem for pretty much everyone in the world as we continue to rely more on social media, which ultimately leads to you comparing yourself to others, and then finally leads to you wanting to be someone else. And that's the topic of today's video: how to be happy with who you are and how to not want to be someone else. Now, read a couple books about this one. It was pretty interesting because I wasn't actually looking for the answer to this, but it actually came up in one of my videos, or one of my books, just as a chapter, and I thought that was one of the most interesting things I've ever heard. And it was one of those moments where you just reread it over and over and over and over, and like a week's gone by and I've almost read it every single day for the past week because it was that profound to me. And I was like, I've been doing this wrong for years. So it's a tough pill to swallow for me. And I think a lot of you, it'll probably be equally as hard. Maybe some of you, though, have already gotten through it. So we're talking about why being you is the best thing that you can do and why being someone else is not great. So let's start off with why this is an issue for me. A little story. So I started YouTube 3 years ago, 2016. And at that time, I had zero ambition outside of just getting a safe job, making enough money to get by, maybe get married, have some kids. That was it. My ambitions were very small compared to what they are now. Now my ambitions are make millions of dollars, become a famous YouTuber, maybe become an actor one day. I want to write songs. I want to play piano more. There's so many things that I want to do. But I'm not doing them, at least not yet. I'm putting in a lot of effort, but I'm not seeing the results that I want to see, even though I've been going for 3 years. So something that's been happening to me lately is I'm getting very, very technical with what I'm doing. I'm starting to look into everything. So, for example, I'm studying PewDiePie. I'm studying Markiplier. I'm studying famous singers, famous actors. I'm reading books. I'm doing so many things in my free time to learn as much as I can about becoming a YouTuber. I'm recording videos every day, even if I don't want to, because I know that it's going to force me to get better. Even if it's a video that I know will flop, I don't care, because to me it's just practice, because in 5 years from now, hopefully that'll pay off. So I'm doing all this stuff, right? But I'm still not seeing the results. And one thing I've been doing is like telling myself like, okay, let's take Markiplier's voice editing, and let's take PewDiePie's memes, and let's take Sniper Wolf's video topics, and let's take this person's, and this. I'm taking the best things of everyone, and then I'm putting them together, and I'm trying to turn myself into what I think will be the ultimate YouTuber, right? I'm studying so much. I'm taking notes, hundreds of pages of notes, PowerPoints, reviews. I'm making just very, very, very business-like decisions to do this. And I thought that was the best way to do it, because why not take the best parts of everyone? But that's part of the problem, I think, is that I'm not really being myself in a lot of these. I'm actually trying to be like 30 other people and creating this mashup of 30 other people. And I never really thought that was a problem until I realized, well, until I read this book, until I read this chapter. And what's interesting is you look at PewDiePie, and he's a very entertaining guy. Or you look at any big YouTuber, Roman Atwood, or any actor, any famous person, any singer. They're all great at what they do, but they're all really different. Like, none of them are that similar, really, at all. Taylor Swift is very different than, Kanye West, right? They're very different people. And they're both very good, but they're very different. And the reason they're very good is because they're themselves and they do the best them that they can be. That's the best Taylor Swift the world will ever have. If someone copies her music style, they're a second-rate Taylor Swift, right? They're not going to go viral like she did because they're just copying her. They're not really themselves. They're not authentic. You look at big YouTubers, Markiplier, he's great, PewDiePie, he's great, but they're very different people. They have similarities, but they're themselves. They have their own stories. They have their own worlds that shaped around them. And that's what the world wants. The world wants you. The world wants more unique people. The world wants you to be you and not you to be Taylor Swift or you to be LeBron James, right? So something hard, this really hard pill to swallow, is to realize that you are you, right? There's a 1 in 300,000 billion chance that you exist. If your parents had babies, they would need to have 300,000 billion babies until they had another one that looked like you, that acted like you, that sounded like you. That's how rare you are and how rare I am and everyone else on this planet. So why are you trying to be like someone else? And that's something I had to ask myself, because it is hard when you're in social media and constantly comparing yourself. Like, why am I not as famous as him? What am I doing wrong? Why am I not getting the views, the money, etc.? Because you're always comparing yourself. So when you realize, like, you realize like, okay, so I'm very rare. I'm the only one of me. People want more of me. That's good. But then you ask like, well, what is me? You're trying to be someone else for so many years, your whole life. You're like, who even am I? And that is the challenge. That is one of the most difficult parts. And I think it's hard to really make those decisions without having other people influence it. So I asked myself that question. I'm like, okay, so who am I in videos? Who am I in real life? It's always kind of like you kind of change. You can change who you are. I'm a way different person at work than I am when I make videos, than I am when I'm out with friends on weekends, than I am when I'm playing soccer. I change. I think we all do. And so I really don't have the answer to that right now. I mean, this is a pretty fresh topic, but I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments here in this video or this podcast, because I think that's a really great topic. We need to be ourselves more. We need to stop comparing ourselves to people. We need to stop trying to be like someone in social media. We need to realize who we are is what the world wants and ultimately what will give us more happiness. So I think that's really valuable to learn. But I think one of the more interesting parts of this is that it's so challenging when you compare yourself as much as I do, and I'm sure many of you do, to really know who you are, what you should do. Like, what is me? Is this really me, or is this just me trying to copy someone? So that makes it really challenging, especially like me making these videos. It's extremely important because if I come off as inauthentic or trying to copy someone else, that people catch on to that subconsciously and they're gone in seconds. They know if you're not being real. And I have struggled with that for years, and I feel like I'm getting better. Like I feel like I'm being myself more and figuring it out. I'm kind of going into my interests and bringing it out. Like this podcast is just straight up something I'm interested in. I don't even care if people watch it. It's almost for me because I think it's really valuable to just say this stuff and think about it out loud. But I think that's really powerful. And something really interesting about this is that one of the leading causes of suicide in our society today is potentially related to this exact issue. A lot of people have mental diseases, right? They're depressed. They're really anxious. They have just a lot of mental problems going on, schizophrenia, all these things. Some science is actually proving that this might be a result of them needlessly comparing themselves to others so severely that they think that themselves are worthless. They think that what they do really doesn't matter, and that if they're not someone else, they're not great. They're not born great. But excuse me, it's choked on my spit there. They're just telling themselves that if they're not XYZ person, they're not a great person. They shouldn't live. And this leads to so many mental issues. And social media is increasing more and more in our lives. And so it's making that even more of an issue as you see these cherry-picked moments of people's lives. So that can be a big challenge for people. So you gotta always be yourself. So ask yourself, what do you want to look like? What kind of style do you want to have? What do you like? And it can take some time, just be alone and just like picture, what do you want to look like? What do you want to be like? What do you want to do? And it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. And I think it's going to take a long time to unwind and figure out a lot of this stuff, like who you are instead of who you are trying to become as a result of copying people. And this is an issue that's as old as history itself. Everyone in the world has had this issue. I mean, hundreds of years ago, this was a problem. Social media just makes it a bigger problem, but it's always been an issue. Nobody is as miserable as someone who craves to be what he is not. I think that's a pretty powerful quote. Don't know who said it because I don't really care about who said it. I just think it's a great quote, and I think it's really powerful stuff. A lot of actors have this issue as well. Something interesting is that I keep saying something interesting. I'm gonna have to stop doing that, guys. I'm sorry. But a lot of people go to be actors. They do auditions and they say, I want to be the next Robert Downey Jr. I want to be the next Ryan Gosling. I want to be the next whoever. And they end up being not themselves. They end up being inauthentic. They end up being fake. And people pick up on that and they realize you're not being yourself. We don't want you. So the number one challenge they have when hiring actors is to get people to be themselves. That's really cool because people that are acting are pretty much just being themselves, but saying what they're supposed to say. Like, they're not really acting in the way that they're trying to become someone else. They're kind of just being themselves in a role. I don't know if that makes sense, but actors have this issue a lot, especially casting agents. They're like, don't be Taylor Swift, man. Be Zach, all right? Be who you are. That's what they want. They want authentic, and that's what really brings it out and makes a great movie great. So you're human, guys. You're not going to get anywhere trying to pretend to be a parrot or pretend to be a dog, all right? You can't pretend to be a different animal, so don't pretend to be a different person. It's the exact same concept. Maybe not. Makes sense in my mind. I don't know, dude. So I just want to leave you guys with this. You are something new in this world. You should make something out of it. You shouldn't waste the fact that you are 1 in 300,000 billion. The fact that you're unique, the fact that you bring unique things. Every positive and negative thing about you is who makes you you. So I think you need to accept those positive and negative things. If you have crazy deformities on your face, accept it. That's who you are. You have deformities. That's fine. Use it. Don't hide it. Don't be ashamed of it. If you have crazy anxiety, crazy whatever issues, that's fine. Accept it. That's who you are. Every single person has something like that. People have anxiety. People have deformities. People have diseases. People have all kinds of stuff. And that's just who they are. You also have a lot of great things about you. So accept those as well. And when you put all those together and you put together the fact that no one talks, thinks, acts, or does anything like you, you realize that you're as unique as anyone on this planet. And you realize you can do anything as unique as anyone else on this planet. So I think the challenge, guys, is to figure out who you are and to do what you want and to stop trying to become someone else. Now, that's a challenge for me, but those of you that are in the same boat as me, let me know how it goes. It's going to be a long road. I think a long journey ahead, but I think the results will be worth it. It could take 5-6 years of hard work. I'd say I'm about 3 years in of trying to fix myself through that, and I think I've made a pretty substantial amount of progress the past few years. I'd say I'm about there. Still definitely have some work to do. Tie some final pieces together on it, but I think this is really powerful, and I think a lot of people could benefit from realizing that you're unique. You don't have to be anyone else. You shouldn't be ashamed of the bad things about you because we all have them, and that's what makes us who we are. Guys, thank you for watching this week's episode of LoverCast. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button on your podcasting app, I guess. I don't do this often enough to know what you're using, but you also can follow me on YouTube, all that stuff. And if you want to learn more about this topic, check out loverfella.com, where I have all the books that I read, all the cool knowledge that I drop on you guys in serious detail. Check it out, loverfella.com. Spread the love, guys. See you all next week. Peace.